right, welcome to another episode of Sex with Ashley. I'm Ashley, and today we are talking about pleasure and how pleasure brings forth liberation. And I have the perfect guest to talk about that. I have Lyvonne Briggs. Hey, Lyvonne.
Hey girl, hey.
How are you?
Excellent. How are you?
I'm good. I am good. It is nice. It's a nice 85 degrees today in Atlanta. I'm going to go to a
Okay.
basketball game. So I am good.
Okay. The girl.
Cause I hear I hear it's colder up north where you are. Is it
It
colder? I
is.
heard
It
it's
is.
like a
I'm in
chill or something.
Philly. It's a little chill. It's a little rain. It's giving cozy in the bed, but I'm so grateful to be here and sharing space with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. So first of all, tell the people who you are, what you
Yes.
do, and all that jazz.
So my name is Lyvonne Briggs. I'm an Emmy Award-winning multimedia producer and published author and pleasure-centered sensualist. As a Bayesian, yeah. So in 2008, I was an associate producer for the Beijing Olympic Games. So if any of you watch the sports and things and all the profiles that they do on the athletes, that was my team, and I was also the head of beach volleyball that summer. So I had to
Oh,
watch every match and see who was winning what, who was placed where. It was super intense for 31 days in China.
well, congratulations. I did not know that.
Thank
I learned
you.
something new today. Okay, so
Thank
yeah, finish
you.
your bio. So you're a sensualist and explain what that is.
Yes, yes, yes. And so essentially, I hold space for Black women, particularly first generation Caribbean American eldest daughters, to reclaim their magic through spirituality, sensuality, and sexuality. My first book, Sensual Faith, The Art of Coming Home to Your Body, is an invitation for Black women to live their spirituality from a place of pleasure rather than shame. Because as a theologically trained former pastor, I learned that patriarchy and sexism and misogyny were running rampant through Christianity, child. And I was like, hold up, wait a minute. Me and my sisters deserve more than this. And so I believe that for Black women, actually, pleasure is a pathway to liberation.
I do too. Like I believe that I'll say for me, when I started to kind of live in my truth of
Mm-hmm.
whatever that was, like my truth for maybe like my relationship styles that I preferred or the kind of
Mm-hmm.
sex that I enjoyed,
Mm-hmm.
it did bring forth this type of freedom that
Yeah.
I really experienced because I grew up too in the church. I tell people all the time, I grew up saved.
Holy
I
Ghost
grew up
filled, fire
saved.
baptized.
Yes, I grew up saved. Okay.
Hallelujah.
Yes. And so like in my house, like sex was not a
Mm-hmm.
conversation that we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then so like and because when you're a child, like you are literally your parents plant the seeds. And so like
Mm-hmm.
and then you're kind of like, "Oh, now I'm this whole plant that my parent has planted with all these different seeds and these imprints." And so it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
until probably after college, like college for me, I kind of learned and kind of formed my own ideas and
Mm-hmm.
about things outside of what my parents taught me. But
Yeah.
it wasn't until after college that I kind of was like, okay, I want to have the freedom and explore the freedom of different things.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I wish that more Black women
Mm-hmm.
would do that because we have so much shame and so much
So much.
negative things that we have to like overcome. So I love that. So let's talk about your book.
Yes. So my book helps Black women do four things. One, decolonize your
Okay.
Christianity. Most of us are raised in a Christian tradition, and if you're not, there is
Yeah.
some sort of religious upbringing,
Education.
right?
Hmm.
Even if you weren't like going to church every Sunday, Christmas, Mother's Day, Easter, CMEs, for the
Hmm.
funerals and the
Hmm.
homegoings, for the weddings, you was in there.
Hmm.
So first, just
Yeah.
honor that the Christianity you inherited was extremely whitewashed and colonized, and that's not our shit. Number
Hmm.
two, reclaim your African spiritual base and practices. Once I started embracing my people who were from Sierra Leone on my mom's side and Angola on my dad's side,
Hmm.
I started learning about ancient West African spirituality and indigenous practices, and I was like, hold up, they got women deities, which they got in Christianity too, child. Quiet as it's kept,
Hmm.
because the Holy Spirit is a divine feminine being. That's something that I need all my Christian girls who still identify as Christian to know, that she's a she. Praise the Lord.
Okay.
And then the third thing that I want women to do is to heal their bodily trauma. A lot of our shame comes around what happens to our bodies, particularly as we're little girls growing up in families that can range from giving us unwanted feedback about our bodies to actual physical
Mm-hmm.
harm. And most Black women have something or know someone who's experienced that kind of harm. And so healing our bodily trauma is really, really important. And the last thing is to learn how to love ourselves unapologetically, which is countercultural, but a revolution. Self love is a revolution for Black women.
It really is. So, what made you want to write the book?
So, as someone who was a cradle Christian and whose spirituality evolved over the years, I realized that we weren't hearing much about sex and sexuality beyond don't have premarital sex. If you have sex before marriage, you're going to hell. And apologies if this is triggering for anyone, but I don't believe this anymore. And then if we're going to expand our conversation on sexuality, the really disturbing colonized viewpoints on LGBTQ plus folks, where in African spirituality, queer folks are the gatekeepers in ritual. Okay, they the ones who hold the key to be like, can you get into this sacred space? So we were hearing
Mm-hmm.
just a lot of really self-defeating, self-deprecating, ungodly dogma masquerading
Mm-hmm.
as religion. And so I was fine with my purity culture stint when I was in college. That was when I
Mm-hmm.
got saved.
Yeah.
And,
Mm-hmm.
holiness is still right and keep your legs closed. And I was
Mm-hmm.
celibate for
Mm-hmm.
8 years. Then I got
Mm-hmm.
into a healthy relationship. And 6 months in, my loins were tingling. And I said, hold up, wait a minute. Like, this isn't
Mm-hmm.
the drummer at church and I'm going to feel bad the next day. Or, I love this man. We're in a
Right.
healthy relationship. So I had to expand my consciousness and my theology to include sexuality in healthy ways as an adult woman. So all of that journey is in the book. And so I present stories. I talk about all different kinds of things. There are reflections, there are scriptures, there are affirmations. It really is an invitation and a guide that you can read in one sitting or in 1 year or more and, go on your own journey with me so that you too can come home to your body.
So, I recently watched a sermon online
Mm-hmm.
from a pastor, and I cannot remember his name. But
Okay.
anyway, it resonated with me because it was the first time I heard a pastor speak about sexuality, not in a negative way.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Mm-hmm.
made sense. He was saying how, in the Bible where it talks about how we're supposed to not fornicate and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And how that's a sin, all the things.
Mm-hmm.
But he was like, if you look at the context, like in the Bible days, people were getting married at 13, 14
Mm-hmm.
ish.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the
Mm-hmm.
life expectancy was like 40,
Very
35,
young.
40. So people
Yes.
were dead at my age, right? And
Hello.
so right. So he was like, one, it does not relate, it's not relate to current times in terms of
Correct.
people one don't get married at 13.
Mm-hmm.
People get married like their 20s, 30s, sometimes earlier, and then we're
Right.
living to 70s, 80s type of thing. It was kind of I like to use the Bible as, so let me say this. So I'm not a practicing Christian anymore. I still use the Bible for not I don't use it as a like a life or death type of thing. I use it
Right.
for kind of just for I take the meat and leave the bones type of thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. And so to me the Bible is a good, and so is like the Quran, and so are the
Mm-hmm.
other religious books. They're good, like they have these very good I don't want to say like fables because that means I don't want to use the word fable because fable means
Lessons.
it's not true.
Yes. Lessons.
Lessons, there we go. Lessons, there we go. They have these
Mm-hmm.
very good lessons that could be applicable to your life. Sometimes they're not. Take what applies, and then just
Right.
do what you can with the rest. And so that's what I use the Bible as. I use the lessons from it. But that
Mm-hmm.
was that was the first pastor that preached a sermon about sex, and not
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't a condemning sermon. It wasn't
Right.
you're gonna go to hell if you fornicate. It
Right.
was, God loves you. God made sex. Now, God didn't make sex to be recreational as we make it to be, right? But
Mm.
if you have sex before marriage, it's not I'm going straight to hell. It's not a hell sentence.
Right. Right. Absolutely not.
And
And
I
so
really appreciate that.
same. Chapter 4 in my book is called What the Bible Says, right? What church and society got wrong about the scriptures. And so
Okay.
you said the magic word, context. What did this word mean back then? What does it mean in its original language? Because one thing
Mm-hmm.
about these sacred texts, they weren't written in English, babes, right? We're
No.
getting Hebrew, Greek, Aramaic. And when you study these ancient languages, you learn that one ancient term can have 9 different translations into English. And so, whatever old white European man sat down to
Mm-hmm.
translate and to transcribe this,
Mm-hmm.
right, had a
Mm-hmm.
particular agenda in mind
Mm-hmm.
for the people who were
Right.
going to be reading this. So I do believe that the
Right.
Bible is an inherently liberative text, right? I believe that Jesus
Mm-hmm.
walked the earth even as I don't live or identify as a Christian anymore. I do believe in Christ consciousness. I do believe in liberation and love, and especially for my
Mm-hmm.
people. But when you look at scriptures that have been cherry picked essentially to shame us and to beat us over the head, to be weaponized against us and our sexuality, you have to really understand, well, why would someone want me to believe this, right? There's a queer theologian, Zan West, who says, who does it serve for you to believe the thing
Mm-hmm.
that way? And so I
Mm-hmm.
started to unpack, well, God gave us intellect, right? And
He
God
did.
also gave us a clitoris. Now, baby,
Mm-hmm.
as the bearer of a clitoris, I am a part of a very sacred group of people who have
Yes.
an organ that has one sole delicious function. We don't pee with it, we don't shit with it, we don't birth with it, we don't eat with it, we come with it. So you mean to
Mm-hmm.
tell me that the God of all creation of multiverses is going to put a little bean that can with 8,000 nerve endings onto my body and tell me that it's evil? Nah,
And don't want me
son,
to
it's
use
not
it.
okay. And that's chapter 8. Masturbation is a gift from God. Praise the Lord.
I was talking to a coworker the other
Mm-hmm.
day. We were talking about monogamy and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
non-monogamy. And so I
Sure.
said, I think so the people who created monogamy did that because I this is what I feel. I feel like it
Yeah.
was some guys who sat around who can't get women and they came up with the law of like you can't be polygamous. Because like cause even in the Bible, right? In the
Mm-hmm.
Bible, people had
Mm-hmm.
wives, concubines. These
Yep.
men had all these women and they
Mm-hmm.
got along perfectly fine. Like, I mean,
Yes.
from what we know, right?
Yeah. Right.
And then one day, it just changed. And it was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, one man, one woman, and you can't have multiple people. But I'm like, why is that? Like, why did you change it? It was this way, one way for centuries, and then
Mm-hmm.
magically it just changed all like overnight. And no one can tell me why. Like, I talked to like religious pastors and stuff. And I'm like, so
Mm-hmm.
why can't you not have more than one wife? Like, why not? Because
Right.
it's not against God. Because clearly, back in the day when Jesus roamed the earth, that's what they're doing,
Hello.
and no one preached against it. So,
Correct.
like in my own mind, it's because some guys who were not getting women was like, no,
Mm.
because because they won't get women, right? And so they're like, no,
Right.
we're gonna change the laws. We're gonna make it so that it's only one man to one woman. So that way, all the women, because
Mm-hmm.
let's be honest.
Yeah.
If it was legal and people could, and it was not shunned and looked
Mm.
down upon, and men could collect as many women they could afford. I
Heavy on the afford.
Yes, they could collect as many women they can afford. A lot of men
Mm.
who don't have any type of coin would probably not get a woman ever.
Okay, let's talk about it because I remember during quarantine when we was all on the clubhouse, child, and the men's was up there
Yes.
talking about, "Oh, I'm in the house, I have 3 wives, this and that." My question was always, are your wives working? Because if your wives are working, babes, that's not the way this is supposed to work out. So listen, I believe that love is expansive, right? I
Mhm.
believe that
Mhm.
ethical non-monogamy is a thing because like I mentioned, I'm
Mhm.
Bayesian American. I grew up as the daughter of Caribbean immigrants. I have
Okay.
seen it from my biological father. I have seen it play
Okay.
out throughout my family that these men will have multiple families within the same state, on the same island, in the same country, sometimes the same
Okay.
neighborhood. So
Okay.
non-monogamy has been a thing for forever.
Mhm.
It's just,
Mhm.
it hasn't been ethical and it has been largely associated with men, straight men. But let's be clear, there are some women who are engaged in multiple relationships, even if they're not loud and bold and out about it. So
Right.
let's just all get on the same page. Who is non-monogamous? Who's monogamous? Who's searching? Who's learning? Who's ethical? Who's not? Like, and let's just all get on the same page.
Yeah, let's just all get on the same page. Like, it's interesting to me because I practice ethical non-monogamy, right? And
Lovely.
so you said what?
I said lovely. You said ethical.
Oh,
That's
yes,
lovely.
ethical. So people know, we know, like we have we like I'm very open about that with like my
Mm-hmm.
person. And so, but it's always interesting to me when I talk about like women, talk to women,
Mm-hmm.
and even some men too, but mostly women, and they'll be like, well, what's the point of being in a relationship if he's gonna like sleep with other people? And I was like, one, you don't own people
Correct.
in a relationship. There's some type of ownership there. Like, you don't like belong to me. And definitely don't belong to me. I mean, you don't. Nobody belongs to you even in marriage. You have papers on them, but like you don't. You still don't belong to me.
Correct.
But like you can have multiple ongoing things. I think with women, a lot of times we have a it's like a competition with us. So we have a hard
Mm-hmm.
time understanding that a guy can like us
Mm-hmm.
and like someone else. Like, what you mean you like somebody else? Because people sometimes, women, we get married and then we assume that our partner eyes stop working. And like like they can't find somebody else attractive. Or
Right.
like, what you mean you like somebody's, you hearted a girl's thing on Instagram? Like, we get very territorial and possessive
Yes.
over
Yes.
people.
Yes.
So some of it is, I don't know if it's jealousy, and that's probably it too.
Sure.
But it's hard for us sometimes to wrap our mind around the idea that people can like multiple people. I read a status the other day, a post. It was this
Mm-hmm.
guy. He's married.
Okay.
And I don't know how long he's been married, but he's married currently. His ex girlfriend, whomever, she's dying. And
Mm-hmm.
so she's, I don't know where, but she's died, like in the hospital, I'm assuming. So
Mm-hmm.
her mom called him to let him know. 'Cause, like, he said they had like they dated for some years, like a long term situation. It didn't work out, whatever. Now
Mm-hmm.
he's married to somebody else. He wanted to go to the hospital or hospice, wherever she was, to like pay his respects or whatever,
Of
right?
course. Hmm.
His wife, however, was like, wasn't having it. And I was like, how selfish of you, one, to be jealous of someone who is dying. Like, she is dying. She won't be
That
here
part.
in 6 months. So
Right.
what is it to you if he goes and see her?
Right.
It's not like they gonna be together. She's dying.
Right.
And two, people have whole lives before they get with you. I'm 40, right? And so I tell
Mm-hmm.
people, I know that my age, I'm nobody's first love. Baby, we 40,
Right.
right?
Correct.
Like, no, I would like to be maybe your last love, but like your first love at 40, that's not happening. So you had, likewise with me, I had a whole life before I met you with other people
Right.
in it. And there are several
Mm-hmm.
people that I had relationships with or romantic whatever with, that if they died or was dying, I would go see them and I would be sad. Doesn't mean
Absolutely.
that I love you less. It just means that
Right.
I had life before you.
Right. And that life that I had made me the person that you want to be in relationship with. So you can't love me without loving the experiences that shaped me. And so I'm
Correct.
42 and I have, I was married once, no longer married to that person. And I went through an exploratory phase of ethical non-monogamy where I
Mm-hmm.
was a solo person bopping around and engaging
Mm-hmm.
with maybe
Mm-hmm.
polyamorous men or dating multiple people at one
Mm-hmm.
time or just, figuring things out. And there was one situation with a gentleman that I really, really liked and who liked me. He was married and him and his
Mm-hmm.
wife also had a girlfriend so that they were in a relationship with. And I think he had one other
Mm-hmm.
partner. So with me, he was saturated, right? For the uninitiated, that's when you're like, I'm at my maximum capacity for like ethical space holding and whatnot. And so I fun because I was getting to know like really thoughtful folks. In my experience, people who are poly or ethically non-monogamous tend to be just very kind, sweet, open people. Not to say that, traumas aren't triggered and jealousy doesn't show its head and things like that. But once it came time for me to be in the relationship, it wasn't a good fit. I'm fine dating
Okay.
people who are ethically non-monogamous, but I myself want to be in a consciously monogamous relationship. So I did learn that about myself.
Okay.
And I think that's helpful information to have, because I started to realize that conversation opened me up to the kink conversation. Now, sometimes what people do, especially like very conservative Black Christians, they will lump being gay, queer, lesbian, trans, being into kink, being ethically not, like, all into the same box. It's like, baby, you got to parse it out. You got to parse
Not
it
the
out.
same.
So while I'm consciously monogamous, you better believe that if there's consent and I want to play with this friend, okay, this partner, this scene partner at a kink event, now that's a different conversation. So
So would
having
you
these
consider yourself like monogamish then? If you would have play partners, then technically
Mhm,
that's not really
mhm.
monogamous,
That's true.
right?
Let's get into it, because you're helping me.
Okay.
Because what had happened was I was in a monogamous relationship with a man back in 2023, and he had already planned to go to Hito in Jamaica, which is this pleasure resort in the group, right? And I was like, cool, let's go. I'm thinking we're gonna be around for the vibes. This man tells me on the shuttle from the airport to the resort that he's planning on playing with other people. My world was rocked. We should have had this conversation back in the United States of America, right?
Correct.
And so my introduction to pleasure resorts was traumatic. And so I really had to process through, well, what does this mean when people do it the right way? Because that's not the right way to do it.
So y'all were going to Hito,
Yes,
and that was your first time going.
that was my first time going. It was with this all Black, kink positive, kink friendly group. And we were there for like almost a week in June 2023.
So what did you think was going to happen at Hito?
So I thought me and him were just gonna like have sex in public, on the beach, like just be
Got,
outside, maybe
got you.
see other people. I didn't
Okay.
anticipate us engaging other people physically. I was
Okay.
like, we're just
Okay.
going to vibe and to have a vacation. Because till
So
that
what?
point, I
So
had
what? So
never swung before. I had never been to a swinging anything before.
yeah. Okay.
That
So
was my
yeah.
very first event. People there were like, "This is your first kink event. This is your first swing event." They're like, "You just
Yeah.
dove into the deep end."
Yeah, no, like he definitely should have. You don't bring someone who is, and I'm gonna use the term vanilla just for this,
Yes, yes.
because you're new to it. So you don't bring someone who is vanilla, and who has no experience to a
No.
kink anything without letting them know what it is. Like you tell them ahead of
No.
time. You give people the option to opt out if this is not for them. You don't just be like, no, because
Mhm.
I've taken guys to swinger clubs before. Like I've
Mhm.
taken, a few people. But I tell them, typically they bring it up. They're like, I've never
Mhm.
been to a swinger club or been somebody. I'm like, oh, really? I go all the time. You want to go with me? To blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then I kind of tell them beforehand what they can kind of
Yeah.
expect. So that way it's not
Mhm.
like, oh, a deer in headlights. I'm here. What the hell is this?
Right.
Right? So yeah, you definitely don't do that. So question, so when you got there and then y'all
Yeah.
were there. So did
Mhm.
you explore? Did you open up? Did you like, no, this is not for me?
Yeah.
What did you?
Yes, I did. So here's the thing. Like, this person identified as a Dom. And I was like, I didn't know anything about Doms when I first met him, but knowing him makes me know what a Dom is not. I was like, I need people to be vigilant and diligent and do your due diligence and really like ensure that these spaces are vetted and that they have like holistic practices in place for you. So folks who are exploring, if you're vanilla, swirling, whatever, like don't just dive into the deep end. Like I did it and that's my path, my journey. It is what it is. But after I got there, I was like, am I even staying in Jamaica? And I was like, I just spent all this time traveling. Like, I'm not turning around. So the first day I was meeting couples, and these folks are judges and lawyers, some of my sorors, and they've been married, got kids in college, mortgages, businesses. And I was like, so tell me, how did you get into this? It was like I put on my research cap And so now I'm starting to learn like the infrastructure of it and like the socialization of it. And that was helpful for me. So there was this one guy who was pressing me. He was like, yo, Lyvonne, whenever you ready, just say the word. And I'm like, right, whatever. So I was pretty chill for the first 2 days. And then I got into a verbal altercation with the guy that I came with. And
Oh,
when the way he left that conversation, I was like, you know what? This trip is no longer about us. This trip is about me and my pleasure. And I went and I found old boy and he was like, you ready? I was like, I'm ready. And
say
so we
less.
went. Yeah, it was nothing else to say except
So,
yes.
question: what, if you don't mind, what group did you go with? Was like worst behavior? What group did you go
No,
with?
no, no. I think organized chaos.
Oh,
Have you
okay.
heard of
Because
them?
I know that like certain black groups go
Hmm.
during different times. Because typically it's better for when you go with like other
Yes,
black
so
people.
that you can chocolate it out, black it out, because there were also some very old, wrinkly, pasty white folks there, and they were taking in the views. And I was like, I could not imagine being here without
With just them.
this group of black people. So try to go with the group for sure.
So next question. Okay, so
Yes.
have you been back to keto? That's your first and only
I
time, or
haven't. That was my first and last time. And as I sit with it, I have to really think about, do I want to go back again? And do I want to go back and play with other people? So just there are a lot of things that have to be in place, I think, for me to go back. I enjoyed myself. I had a great time. But it was a very loaded visit for me. So I highly suggest
and
if
so
you're curious.
like you have to like you can be because so let me say this. So I identify as open, I guess,
Hmm.
open because I'm not poly. Like
Okay.
I don't have ongoing romantic relationships. I have
Okay.
one primary partner
Hmm.
and then the option to play around with others just on
Okay.
the sexual. I have no interest in I don't me personally I don't have the capacity or the time
Hello.
to ask two people how their day was. Like I don't have that.
Right. That's
I
real.
got
No, that's
I got time. I don't even know about two people's day. I just need to know about one. So that's how it works for me.
okay.
And then like so and then I have like we have rules. Like every guy that I've gone to a swingers event with,
Hmm.
we discuss what they are comfortable with, what they're not
Hmm.
comfortable with, and vice versa. I remember I had one person because I went to a play event last Labor Day about a year ago, and I went with this guy that I was messing around with because won't see him, just having sex with.
Hmm.
And he was somebody who was actually into the lifestyle,
Hmm.
and I was not actually I was there for work technically, so I was not going there to do any type of play at work because I just think
Hmm.
that's tacky. But I told him, I was like, listen, this is a play event, have
Right.
fun. He's like, you don't
Yeah.
care? No, I don't care. Like you came with me, you're leaving with me. Like
This is
have
what it's
fun.
for, babes. Yeah.
Like, but he was like shocked that I was like, oh, so I can do whatever. Yeah, like as long as you wear a condom, I don't care. Like
Right.
I literally do not care because for me, I have learned how to um separate sex from the emotion, and I've done that because I feel like I'm able to do that with people that I'm with.
Hmm.
And so because I have that freedom, I want my partners to be able to have that freedom. But I remember a
Yeah.
time though I was not like that.
Abs-
I'm from the generation and was raised by someone who believes that if a man cheat on you, he don't love you. You know, if
Right.
a man cheat on you, what did you say?
Oh, I'm agreeing. Yep.
Yeah, if he cheat, he don't love you. Like I remember, real talk. I was in college, and me and my group friends at the time was talking about like threesomes. I don't know how we even talking about that, but we was talking about threesomes. And yeah, I don't know how they even
That's
came about. But
really.
what I remember from that conversation was it was if a man loves you, he
Hmm.
will not have a threesome with you. Men only have threesomes with like jump balls or little bitches they don't care
Lord.
about. You remember that like whole thing that was
Yes.
you remember that whole
Mhm.
thinking?
I do. I do.
And it's crazy because like I've been in a situation with a cuck situation. For those who don't
Okay.
know, cucks are people who like to watch their partner have sex with somebody else.
Hmm.
So I've been in a situation where I had a situation with a guy that I was actually dating and seeing. He was a cuck.
Hmm.
He liked to watch me have sex with other men. And so, like,
Okay.
he was very involved. I will pick the men. He will approve the men, like on a dating app.
Hmm.
Oh, I like this one, not that one, type of thing.
Hmm.
Me, the guys, we will like go out. He would know, like he meet the person, type of
Yep.
thing. But then but when it came down to like the sex thing, he knew about it. He would watch. That was,
Yeah.
he liked it. That was his thing. Cool. And so I was talking to my cousin actually about it. I was like, me and so and so, this is what we're doing now, right? And she said to me, well, he's probably not gonna marry you. And I was like, well, why did you say that? I'm like, what you mean? He was like, men who want to get married and look at you, take you seriously, are not gonna do that with you. And I was like,
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. Now we did
Right.
not get married, but it's because I don't want to marry him.
Hello.
He's a cool guy, but I'm not interested in doing anything with him.
Sure.
But I said all that to say there are people to this day who feel like certain types of sex should be only for people. Certain types of sex are only for certain types of women. And so if you are a woman who is worthy of being a wife, then you should only be engaging in wife sex, whatever the hell that is. But you should only be engaging in wife sex. And sex that is like threesomes or multiple people or whatever is sex, seen for whores. And whores don't get married.
Baby, there were wives and husbands all up in and through that resort. And here's what I learned. Because I don't know what your vetting process is, but I didn't do penis checks when I was at the resort. And so I ended up with less than satisfactory performances. So vibes were great, attraction was there, but then I'd be like, his penis is small, or like your head is trash, or and I'm just like, okay, I didn't know. So next time I will absolutely have a physical part, not just a vibe check.
So this is also what I have found, and this is gonna
Mm,
sound real crazy. This is gonna sound crazy. So I also found that a lot of the guys who are into
say it.
these type of lifestyles,
Say it. I'm like, say it. Yes, go there.
they don't rank high on the list of desirability in terms of like whatever different things are. It might be desirability. They might rank high because of their income. Might not rank high because their appearance. Might not rank high because of their sexual
Mhm.
ability. Now that's not all, right? That's not all.
Right, right.
But what I've noticed from doing this, I don't know, 10 years or so, is that, yeah, I think for some of them, this is the only space that they can go and, this is gonna sound crazy, but get attention from multiple people. That sounds crazy, doesn't it?
I don't think it does because here's the thing. So I did have one swinging encounter at Hito with
Okay.
my then partner and then a married couple. And interestingly enough, we were all a part of like a Black Greek letter organization. So that was a part of the
Mm-hmm.
reason why it felt like a homey and cozy, right? And so her husband was going down on me while my partner was going down on her. And he gives good head and he has a huge penis. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
pleased with my partner.
Mm-hmm.
Her man. I was like, sir, where's the tongue? He did make me come because he knows where a clitoris is, but I was like,
Mm-hmm.
get me off this ship. Like I'm done. And so I do think that sometimes there are women who push for these kinds of experiences because they love their husband. That's the father of their kids. They gonna be buried next to
Mm-hmm.
each other one day. But in that one particular area, every now and again, she just wanna choke on something. You know what I'm saying? So,
And I've also noticed that the guys who rank higher,
uh-huh.
they are typically the ones where they date as a couple. They
Uh,
typically don't date individually. Their wife
interesting.
is attached to them like their shadow.
Uh-oh.
Uh, they usually date as a couple. Like I've had guys who came up to me and who wanted to date. I don't date couples, so I
Mm-hmm.
tell them I don't date couples. I date individuals because I'm not interested. I don't want a girlfriend. I'm not interested in
Right.
a girlfriend. I can be cool with your wife, but I'm not
Sure.
interested in having a girlfriend of no kind.
For sure.
And so I tell them like I'm interested. I like you. You're cool. If you're interested, if your wife is interested in allowing you to date solo, we can all meet
Mm-hmm.
and we can date.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't, and even when it does happen, typically usually from this is my personal experience, it becomes a problem down the line because she's not she's insecure about something, or she's not comfortable with the relationship of dating by
Okay.
themselves. I usually have found that people typically date together because one of the two is not comfortable
Insecure.
with their partner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
those
there
typically
were.
be the women who have men who either have like the things that people want: money, good sex, good
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're scared somebody's gonna take their man.
I saw that too at Hito. Like you could tell the
Hmm.
women there who ain't really want to be there, but they were there because their man wanted to do it and they wanted to please him. And I was like, "Oh, baby girl, this is not going to end well for you."
It's not.
So you got to make sure both of you are ebulliently consenting to these
You
experiences,
do.
or just there are 8 billion people in the world. Go find somebody else who's more aligned with you. It's really
You
not
do.
that deep.
That it's just that simple. So Levon, tell the people where they can find your book, how they can
Okay.
get your book, and then where they can
Okay.
find you.
Yes. So I will tell you that I just want to share this one last thing first,
Okay.
which is
Go ahead.
that keto was a learning experience for me and it definitely broke me wide open to kink. I learned at a play party last year that I am a sensual kink person. I love fire
Mm.
play, I love wax play, knife play, all the things. I was edged for the first time. I said, Lord have mercy, I'm counting stars, right? So
Oh, okay.
there's so much to explore in this world. And if you're feeling like you want to put your big toe in, your baby toe in, make sure that you vet a space, talk to people that you trust, follow Ashley's colleagues, like get the tea. Don't just dive into it, right? And be open and center
Please
yourself.
vet. Like vet. I hate. I remember you say your friend was a dom. I hate doms. I hate when men like I'm a dom. I cannot
If you
stand
gotta
it.
say that, you're not a real dom, honey. Because real
I
doms don't gotta
hate
say
it.
they a
I hate it. Any guy who's like, oh, I'm a dom, I
dom.
swipe. Like, we gonna swipe
Gag.
left because most
Well,
cases, and again, this is not apply to everybody, but in a
right.
lot of cases, a
Mhm.
dom means you somebody who just like having sex with multiple people typically, and you think because you're like this guy, you're supposed to be
Right.
dominant.
No
I'm a nigga.
accountability, no
No, you
compassion,
ain't
no
been to a training,
aftercare,
ain't took a class,
been to no
ain't read a
conference.
book, to a conference. It's because I have a penis and I'm a man.
Yeah.
I'm at the dom. Like I can't stand it.
Mhm. Yeah.
So typically I don't. Yeah, no, it's enough for me.
Yeah, I was referred to this Dom. He identifies as a sensual Dom and Chef's Kiss. So referrals, referrals, referrals. All that to be said, that pleasure is the pathway to liberation. And for some of us, kink will be a stop on that path. And I invite you to think about kink as a spiritual practice. And if that feels good to you, then you can definitely follow me on every platform at Lyvonne Briggs. LyvonneBriggs.com is my website, and there are lots of opportunities to work with me. Of course, following me on social media is fabulous, engaging with the content. Buying my book, Sensual Faith, The Art of Coming Home to Your Body, which is available at every major retailer. And if you do happen to buy it from that behemoth of a website, please leave a 5-star rating. If you see me in the streets, I probably got a copy on me. I could sign it for you. It's $20, okay? And we can keep the conversation going.
Thank you, Levon. This was good. We kind of got off topic a little bit into my business, but this was a good
Those are the best
conversation.
conversations, B.
Thank you for joining us. Hold
Thank you
on.
for having me, Ashley.